I will marry you only if you kick this stupid compulsion to be a present-day Robin Hood into the trash can. It's the only flaw that mars your career as a titan of crime, and I hate it. Alright DC, you win. I'll give Lex and Lois a chance. Greetings comic lovers and welcome back to Casually Comics, the channel where we chat all things comics, from reviews of comics new and old to history to anecdotes to really wherever our whims take us. Back to my favorite playlist featuring one of my favorite comics, Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane, the comic that keeps on giving. It gave us this playlist, Lois Lane gets married to people who aren't Superman, or just Lois Lane gets married for short. Now we've seen many suitors on this playlist, and it's time to return to a classic, Lex Luthor again. Now the first story we looked at where Lois married Lex was issue 34, in a tale wherein she married a brainwashed being good Lex, and they had a son who eventually turned out to be evil, Larry Luthor, and he ended up killing his dad. It was all very melodramatic and tragic. Also, Lex helped Lois achieve eternal youth, but that's not about that. That's not what that story was about. That story spawned a sequel dealing with the redemption of Larry Luthor, or Black Luthor as the comic dubbed him. He'd become a pirate, a space pirate. He was ultimately redeemed and married a very thirsty daughter of Clark and Lana.
I'm fed up with being the goody-goody daughter of the ultra-respectable Superman. You appeal to me. We're two of a kind.
Well, yes, he was bald when he was evil and then miraculously had hair once more when he became good. The judgment against those lacking follicles does not stop. These were imaginary stories, so tales that take place outside of continuity. That was what they used to be called, years before the term Elseworlds was dubbed. Now in that last outing, I lamented how the comics code wouldn't let an evil Lex be with Lois. Give me the evil Lois and Lex power couple. Well, my wishes came true, because that was already written. Someone thought of me back in the day. We're on the same wavelength, across time. For I give you issues 64 and 65. That's right, for once more, Lex and Lois cannot be contained to a single issue. This story has to do some interesting things to skirt around the comics code morality clauses. It's dancing on the knife's edge, which is both masterful and frustrating what it does to the story. For this story wants both evil Lex and Lois, but it has to contend with rules like the following. In every instance, good shall triumph over evil, and the criminal punished for his misdeeds. The code is amazing. It has all these different areas regarding different parts of morality. There is a whole subsection on marriage and sex. We have things like passion or romantic interest shall never be treated in such a way as to stimulate the lower, baser emotions. Ha! Good luck. There are people who can be stimulated by a piece of toast. If you ever want a dramatic reading of the code, just tell me, because I'll do it. So basically, we need to show a positive, happy relationship between villains, but also one where they're still punished. Alright, issue 64 and 65, go! I'm Sasha, and get ready for the lawless Lois Lane. This issue comes to us from 1966, and it's written by Jerry Siegel, Superman co-creator. And it's got art by, wait for it, if you've been following this playlist, you know who it is. It's the MVP of Lois Lane comics, Kurt Schaffenberger. Also, it's 1966, so we are peak Silver Age. I'm very excited to tell you about this story. Uh-oh, the note Lexo dropped may incriminate him. I can't let the police find it. Lexo's my ideal. Ideal what, Lois? Also, I mean, Lexo is Lex Luthor? That's a bit of a stretch. Who's gonna believe that? His costume is doing so many things. I don't even know where to look. So many colors. The hood, the puffed sleeves ending in tight cuffs. I actually really like that part. See what happens when Lois hates Superman, loves Lexo, and becomes the lawless Lois Lane. Can you imagine Lois Lane favoring a super criminal instead of Superman? Yes, regularly, especially with how he treats her in this series. Well, stop imagining. We've already imagined it for you. Bossy, but all right. But I mean, it gets pretty wild up here. Let's see what you got. There goes that idiot Superman looking for the master criminal Lexo. It's already great. Also, this teaser page will happen, so let's leave it behind and get to the magic. Lois has soured on Superman, and she's been writing these pieces that really glorify this new villain, Lexo. She's besting the Man of Steel, and she's writing all about it. In the melee, the colorful bandit, inventor of many sterling scientific devices to further its crime career, escaped, thus foiling Superman. How can you write that way about our friend Superman, Lois? Harry only wants to run puff pieces on Superman. Confirmed. I can't help rooting for that spunky outlaw. Any criminal who will take on Superman has plenty of nerve. I don't know, I'd use many words to describe Lex. Spunky is not one of them. He's got so much spunk, full of pep. By observing Lexo, Lois learns that he actually takes what he steals and donates it to charity, so a Robin Hood type deal. This impresses her even more. She also sees he has a series of escape hatches to the sewer that he's camouflaged around the city, and she tells no one, because he's so spunky. Lexo returns to his lair, to his very supportive henchman, who he then yells at. Also, if you look in the corner, he's got a Robin Hood statue. Mirko Rendozi Clavin, how many times must I tell you, always wear your gloves in my presence. Put them on now.
Sorry, we forgot how sensitive you are about our green hands.
I hope Lex at least least comp them for these gloves. These three henchmen were looting a nuclear experiment lab for reasons, and when Superman burst in, they just grabbed the nearest thing and threatened to smash it. Thus, they exposed themselves to some kind of radiation by touching it, and it's slowly turning their hands and bodies green, and also killing them. Someday soon, our entire bodies will be green. Then we'll die. Two things. For once, this isn't Silver Age Superman's fault. Second, if Lex can't even look at their hands, does that just mean he's gonna put them in full bondage suits? Enough. You know how deeply your tragedy touches me. That's why I demand you hide your monstrous hands. I can't look at them. Lex has a secret identity. He's actually Liberace. Well, no, he's the incomparable Luthor, but he is a pianist in a very flamboyant suit. So these dying henchmen work with Lex and don't mind turning over the money to charity, because they just want revenge on Superman. And I shall help get it. When he was Superboy, he caused me to lose my hair, which is completely the same thing as slowly dying from radiation poisoning. I mean, look at Lex. He's successful and famous. How dare Superman? Lex in this story is a melodramatic marvel. Like you, I scorn wealth. It is my great scientific discoveries that please me most. I caress the piano keys for Lexo, who steals ill-gotten gains from human jackals. Cliff notes, Lex steals from criminals. Lois goes with Perry and the planet to one of Luthor's concerts to report on it, and she falls in love with how he caresses the keys. I've got to speak to that wonderful man. I never dreamed any human could be so gifted. My word. She didn't even mention whether he was handsome or not. Is Lois okay? Lex is a fan of Lois's writing. It helps that she's been writing all these puff pieces about Lexo. Also, in the story, they call him Luthor more than Lex because otherwise the connection would be super obvious, which is why I'm just gonna call him Lex because it's hilarious. I've given you my autograph since my admiration for you at least equals yours for me. I insist you give me your autograph in exchange. You're sweet. And so good looking. She's back. Lexo's next heist sees him going to the planet to collect any evidence Superman may have stashed against him there. He has a stun ray, and so Clark just has to stand there and pretend to be frozen while this is happening. You're quite a gal, Miss Lane. You didn't scream or faint. Oh wow, what high standards. I admire pluck. In fact, I admire everything about you. He's kissing me. Pluck. Spunk. These two were made for each other. During this, as he's escaping, a scrap of paper falls out from his cloak. He needs a better hidden pocket. He should talk to Superman about that. It's the newspaper clipping that he had Lois autograph, and so obviously she makes the connection that Luthor is Lexo. And then she has to decide what's more important to her career or her thirst. The expose I could write about Lexo, who is secretly Luthor, might be the biggest scoop of my journalistic career. But I can't do it. He's like some magnificent, untamed creature of the forest. I can't find it in my heart to destroy him. I'll reform him. What a magnificent centaur, a stallion, the beast of the forest. I'll reform him. I can fix him. I can change him. Clark, meanwhile, has figured out Lexo's Robin Hood MO and is set to sick Superman on him. So Lois decides she has to warn Lex. Because, I mean, if he's captured, how will he ever reform? You see, it's not really about reforming him. It's about her being the one to do it. So she poses as him. This Lexo masquerade costume is one of our most popular items. That daring crook has captured the imagination of the public. Is Lexo just a massive fashion icon and I'm not seeing it? Maybe by the end of it, I'll come around to it. I'll have to cosplay as Lexo. All of this must be very annoying for Superman. This is one of those stories where he's not very present, and so it'd be very interesting to have one of those reverse testimonial type tales, like they did with Twilight or something, where you get the whole story from the other person's perspective. We need that for Superman for this story. Lois lures Superman away, but gets knocked out, and for some reason, his henchmen don't notice her physique, because, well, she got the costume made to fit, and bring her back to the lair. And when she wakes up, she stares at this random statue he has in his room, and it hypnotizes her and makes her evil. So when Lexo gets back, he's greeted by Dark Lois. But she still loves him. She loved him from before, and she loves him now, and he loves her. And she wants to work with him. The henchmen look thrilled about this too. Lois, dear, I'm an impatient lover, and the code explicitly bans acknowledging extramarital sex. I could never survive a long courtship. Marry me at once, Lois. She says yes, but on one condition, and Lex seems to suddenly realize that maybe his secret lair isn't the most romantic place to be doing this, so they go to a nice restaurant. Behind my brilliant triumphs is a mocking emptiness, a need only you can fulfill. But I know you will never want a man like me. I know the condition you will impose. You will marry me only if I reform, correct? Wrong, darling. Mad about the cad. I will marry you only if you kick the stupid compulsion to be a present-day Robin Hood into the trash can. It's the only flaw that mars your career as a titan of crime, and I hate it. You don't want me to reform. At last, I found a woman who is different. Can we take a moment to appreciate the subtle changes Schaffenberger does to Lois's expressions when she's good Lois versus evil Lois? The slight curl of the lip, the arching of the eyebrows, that little glint in the eyes. It's good, subtle, and effective work. There's a part of me that kinda likes evil Lois a little bit. Lois quits her job at the Daily Planet in dramatic fashion, walking out, calling Perry Mr. Dictator. And Superman, who overhears this, swoops in. I really want to know what he's been doing because he comes in with this.
I've done a lot of soul searching, Lois. I realize at last that I want you for my wife more than I want anything else in all creation.
Now I'm supposed to fall into your arms, eh? Who wants you? Who needs you? Not me. I'm about to marry the one man on earth who is so toweringly overwhelming in every way that compared to him, you're nothing. He's a man with fire, spirit, and yes, faults. But I love him.
I've lost her forever.
Look, Superman's not even the best man at this wedding. Now he can feel doubly sad. They have a public wedding and then an underground wedding for the villains, where Lois joins him in a matching costume and says that she's gonna start her own supervillain career as Lola. Guess she really wanted to get her money's worth out of that costume. Now they have matching his and hers villain costumes. It's so sweet. The celebration is the end, our setup for the next issue. Issue 65 is one of those covers I'm a little surprised doesn't get more play in the zany Silver Age arena. I swore I'd be the death of you, Superman, and I am. The combined vibrations of Luthor's piano and this Kryptonian instrument are finishing you. Look, Lex has written a Superman sonata. Same creative team, go! One recap later, we get to see sad Superman at the wedding once more, this time from the front. Oh, so newlyweds, what a crime team they make! We properly open and it's been months and they've been up to no good. They even stole Batman's utility belt, which is Lois's favorite trophy to date. Man, can this cat kiss? Crazy. Thank goodness I didn't marry that square Superman. They also like to pull crimes to mess with Superman, just cause, you know, it's a fun night out. Lois really loves this. So she's thrilled when they plan a heist to mess up Superman Day, which is the day when the city celebrates him and they give him gifts. They ruin it and steal his presents. The thing is, Dark Lois has her flaws, aside from the crime. She really doesn't want Lex devoting his time to anything good at all. So she fumes when he still goes and plays concerts for orphans and he's still giving away the loot to charities. But he says that's what he loves. He just loves besting Superman, but the money, that's not what he's in it for. And so she goes full abusive spouse on him with the hippest slang available at the time. You promised to turn off that cornball jazz if I'd marry you. Now drop the square bit or I'll fade out of your life forever.
Don't wig out, Lois. I'll get with it.
You see, this is too evil. Can I please have my functional dark power couple, please? A request so nice, I said please twice. So they go back to crime and it's going well. They even hit their 1-year anniversary, where Lois gets to do one of her favorite things, torment Superman with the fact that he didn't get to marry her. She maneuvers him under some mistletoe and we get, aren't you gonna kiss me? It's an old tradition. Suffer.
Why did she have to marry Luthor instead of me? Joke!
Superman goes home and dreams of the love they could have had, while Lois dreams about giving him the brush off. You super square. I love everything about my husband. Go away, Superman. She then makes out with Lexo. But this is all going too smoothly. At some point, you know it needs to go awry. They can't have happiness in this imaginary tale. Stop it. This isn't Superman Red and Blue. And so we enter the Things Fall Apart segment of the tale. Lana shows up to take some publicity shots for a TV special on Luthor. And Lois gets very jealous about how many compliments she's paying him. Even at the wedding, she had a thought bubble about how if anybody looked at him, she would scratch their eyes out. How dare Lana pay her subject compliments as she photographs them, making them feel at ease, the minx. I mean, come on, Lana is gushing over this clown costume. Dark Lois is unhinged. She used to try to steal Superman from me. Now this pig is after my husband. What exactly did the statue do? Did it alter her mind? Did it lower inhibitions? Did it just bring some things to the fore? I really want to know. You must learn to live with the fact that I'm irresistible to all women. I mean, he's so humble. How could any woman resist? But I love only you, Lois. Paste that on your jealous brain. Lois awakens to find Lex not in his bed. Oh, also separate beds is a censorship thing. Because if you show one bed and a couple in it, the implication is hanky-panky. Things can happen in one bed. Separate those beds. Put a nice night table in between. Make it look like it takes a lot of effort. Getting up in the middle of the night and going over to the other bed, it's just like how you used to have to hide when women were pregnant. The evolution as to what has and what hasn't been considered explicitly sexual and how it's changed and moved over time is very fascinating. Some things go from being really rebellious to being hidden again. Now is not the time. Another time. Anyway, Lex has locked himself away in his studio because he's creating. Inspiration has struck. Lois is convinced he's writing a love song about Lana. Out of spite, she decides to go off and pull crimes better than Lexo's. Also, she puts too much pepper in his food because she knows he hates it. So she just pops out and steals the Mona Lisa. And when she gets back, she sees Lana's bracelet is on his piano. piano and that the sonata is finished, and she listens to it and it's beautiful. It must be for Lana. So she goes and dumps water on his head. What he's actually written is the Superman Sonata, and Lana had dropped by to give her the bracelet as a gift since Lois had admired it so much. So in short, Dark Lois, the best for amusement and entertainment purposes, but the worst for interpersonal purposes. I ruined everything. Not so. It so happens that the Superman Sonata will free you from your unfortunate difficulty. So Lex requests a special Kryptonian instrument from Superman that he goes and gets from Kandor. He says it's for a performance that's going to be dedicated just to him.
This unusual instrument reaches not only the ear of the hearer, but his brain as well, creating startling images in his mind.
I hope you're going to tell people that's going to happen, otherwise they're going to be very scared. Lois is being petty as heck, painting her face over the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa is now the Mona Lola. And then she sends it back. So Lois is just going hard while Lex composes. But when she's caught vandalizing the Statue of Liberty, she's unmasked by Superman. Why didn't he just use his X-ray vision? Now just enjoy how dense Clark is here. He thinks that Lois has teamed up with Lexo and is hiding it from Luthor, her husband. Yes, because that makes much more sense than the fact that he's Lexo. Lex Luthor, Lexo, impossible. No one who plays the piano that well could be evil. Lois claims she recently broke up with Lexo and that her husband knows nothing. Just give her a week to turn herself in. And also she needs to tell her husband. Superman gives her that week because he says she can't hide from him anyway. So she manages to push it till the night of the Sonata, where she is set to play the Kryptonian Luthor. My darling Luthor calculated correctly that the tonal vibrations from this Kryptonian Luthor, combined with the musical notes of the piano, would have a madness-inducing effect upon anyone from Krypton. How? I want to see those notes. You know, for science. The music drives Superman mad, and even though it looks like he's plummeting off the balcony, the next panel he's just frozen in suspended animation. But that panel's great. So they're celebrating in Lexo's lair, but the thing is, at this moment, randomly, the statue wears off. But suddenly, Lola stops, sways, then screams. That's as loud as I could scream, because my kids are home. What's wrong, hun? Tell Lexo. Lois locks herself in her room, and Lex finds he can no longer play. For some reason, this is handled as him having guilt over his crimes and what he's done to Superman, rather than being upset because his wife has locked herself in their room and won't come out even to eat. I mean, of all the crimes that they've done, this is the one he should be the most okay with. His hair is finally avenged. They already showed that his thing was that he wanted to give the money to charity and he didn't want to keep it. He was perfectly fine with messing with Superman. Oh, also, are those henchmen still alive? It's been over a year now. Eventually, he breaks down the door and finds that she's made a Superman dummy to talk to and is apologizing to it. Snap out of it, Lois. That's only a dummy. We destroyed the greatest man who ever lived. We'll never be able to atone for this crime. We're doomed. I hate to do this, but maybe it'll snap her back to her right senses. Slap! I did add an actual slap sound effect, but then I liked the one that I made better. Slap! Both of them now feel guilt for the life they've been leading. They try to revive Superman by playing the Sonata again, but to no avail. The guilt begins to destroy their marriage and Lois's mind, as she wasn't in her right mind about the crimes to begin with. Oh hey, his original henchmen! They don't look any greener. They decide to give back the loot and stop being Lexo and Lola. Superman meanwhile snaps out of it. The music has left him. I wonder what the Sonata sounded like.
Turn down for what?
Superman goes to Lois knowing she is Lola, and she turns herself in, but she doesn't turn in Lex, and he's devastated. And Lois, to protect Luthor, puts on an act. Don't touch me, creep. You love your piano. Alexa loves me. Forget me. I love you so, if that's the way you feel. I will forget you. Never. I'm yours forever. Lex can't stand the idea of Lois in prison, so decides to don his Lexo costume one more time to break her out. But Superman shows up when he gets there because he's been patrolling the area, and so Lexo pulls out a stun gun to try and take him down. But the guards see that and think he's gonna kill Superman, so they shoot him. Dead. I love you, sweetheart. Lexo.
So Lexo was the incomparable Luthor.
Nice of you to join us, Mr. Kent. Oh, Lexo's henchmen are dead now. Okay. Superman discovers the random statue and realizes it must have hypnotized Lois. Oh, so he looks at the statue and makes that connection. But Lex to Lexo was too hard. He gets Lois paroled.
Lois, I want to talk to you.
Don't say it. Of course, I'm deeply shocked by my villainous deeds and very sorry. But there's one thing I'll never regret. My love for Lexo. He was a criminal, but he was my man, and I loved him. I still love him. I always will. You can understand that, can't you, Superman?
I understand, Lois.
This kind of got me. in the feelings. Little bit. Kind of in there. Justice for Lexo and Lola. Loxo. There we go. That statue ruined everything. Lex was gonna reform. We all saw it. Man, last time he was brainwashed to be good, and this time Lois was brainwashed to be evil. Why can't they let their love be? This could have been a beautiful, evil power couple, or a good couple with a petty hate on for Superman, and they get out of their system by being extra charitable and making him look bad by being nicer than him. This story is pure Silver Age madness, but of the more coherent and thought out variety. As contrived as the statue of random evil is, the pathos and drama arising out of it isn't. You're ultimately left with a little bit of sadness because you know that it wouldn't be playing out this way without the statue's influence. Here's another question about the statue. Did Lex ever look at it? Did it turn him evil? This statue, why? Just omit the statue. Alternatively, spend way more time focusing on it and explain how it works in detail. Now, of course, this story isn't without its cheese and silliness. The slowly dying and then rapidly dying henchman. All of the science. Jealous Lois is way over the top. Lexo did not have to put up with that. Lois's crimes were hilarious. She stole the Mona Lisa. She just walks in, rolls it up and leaves. Of course, there's always the little suspend your disbelief moments as well. Those kind of pedantic questions like why didn't Superman use his X-ray vision? Or how come we didn't recognize their voices when he's talked to both of them? The story doesn't bring it up, unlike that Catwoman and Lois one. So if you want to, you can just leave it by the wayside. But the passion, the love Lex and Lois have for each other, that connection, they pull it off. It's not even the usual, oh, he's handsome for Lois. She admires him as a person and he admires her. It really sells this concept to you. Granted, the comic is called Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane, so you're probably not meant to be rooting for her and Lex. But after reading so many of these and seeing how awful Superman is to her in some of them, even though she's Dark Lois, her get out of here speech after he shows up and is all, I'm ready, now marry me, is, if not moderately satisfying, at least highly entertaining. It's a very solid imaginary tale that stays true to the rules that it sets up for itself, which does include that the length of time that things last for is for as long as the story needs it to be. You could make some tweaks and make this a lot stronger. Just even little things with even how it played out as it was, aside from fixing the statue. Lex's change of heart at the end isn't really properly tied to his general dislike of doing crime and keeping the loot, which it could have been. Him seeing her crack out of guilt could have been the catalyst for his bad playing rather than how it's presented. So just shifting those panels around would have strengthened that part a lot. This has a lot more emotional depth than many of these Lois Lane gets married stories, and there are a lot of them. Also, parts of it read like a tawdry romance novel, minus the very hip slang, which is only implemented in parts but not others. It's bizarre. Sometimes they're very hip cats, and other times they're not. This story needs to come back for the dark multiverse. Just give me the happily ever after for Lexo and Lola. Keep their matching outfits. Don't change those. They're beautiful. They also stay true to this pairing in this story by not having her end up with Superman, and not because he moved on with Lana, but because she genuinely loved Lex. It's really tragic, but in a way that rings more true than some of these other romantic tales for her. This story is so many things. It just keeps giving. It hits different, as the kids say at time of recording. Or used to. I may be late. Now, of course, this will not be for everyone. For some, this will just be too silly. This era is not everybody's favorite. Some of the tropes and gender play do not land for everybody time of recording. It depends on how you feel about taking stories in their time, and whether you can find such things amusing or not. This story for some also may just be too melodramatic, or the twists and turns and hoops it needs to jump through to meet all the morality clauses may make it feel contrived, or it may just not grab you. Not every story is for everyone, and not always for deep introspective reasons. Sometimes it just doesn't land. This one was very fun to do dramatic voices for. More like this, please. What did you think of this outing on the Lois Lane gets married journey? Did you like this one more than when Lex was brainwashed to be good? Where does this rank on the marriage chronicles? Are you here for Dark Lois? I am, minus the jealousy. She needs to talk to somebody. Tell me your thoughts down below. While you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe. And thanks so much for taking some time today to spend it discussing the Silver Age with me. I always appreciate it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.